Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia, and today I come to you with a December TBR, a TBR of immense proportions, high aspirations, holiday joy, and quite a bit of chaos. I tried to organize it. Every month I do kind of organize or fashion my presentation of my monthly plans. I look at the events and the buddy reads and the group reads, and I try to make a logical order of the presentation. And I tried to do that this time, and it evaded me. There were too many things that crisscrossed into different categories, and things that it was seasonal, but it was a buddy read, it's a group read, but it's also the reread. I mean, I couldn't get it organized. And then I dropped some of them on my toe, on my good toe. Now it feels just like my very arthritic toe. But so then it was a sign. It was a sign to just embrace the chaos. And I'm just going to talk about each of these books. I've restacked them. It's just going to be a chit-chatty video about the books that I hope and plan to read in December, that you can just marvel or laugh at the plausibility or implausibility of this pile. They're just in a stack. I don't even know what order. We're just going to talk about them one by one. I'm going to start right off the bat. I have a tendency to forget to mention something that I don't have here in a physical pile. And there is a book that I'm going to check out on Libby. It is The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett. And I am attempting, along with my friend Michael, to complete Melinda's Storygraph Challenge. Melinda from A Web of Stories. And we are both right at the end. I am really guilty on these challenges of usually getting up to about 80% and then kind of fizzling out. But I'm so close this year that I'm trying to go for it. I have two categories left in Melinda's challenge. They are Golden Age Mystery, and that's what this one. I know that the Maltese Falcon is technically a little bit on, like, if there's a dividing line and there's Golden Age Mystery and then like a hard-boiled mystery, it's kind of a little bit over the line, but time-wise, it's right on the border, and it's gonna count. So we're gonna read the Maltese Falcon. I've never read it. I've never read anything by Dashiell Hammett. I've seen the movie a long time ago. Haven't read the book, so we're gonna read that one together. And then the other one, well, it's somewhere in the pile. Oh, you know what? It's right here. The other one for Melinda's challenge that I haven't done is a book that she recommends. I don't know how that happened, because we watch each other's channels and we read a lot of books and have a lot of interests in common, and we even just did a buddy read. So somehow, though, I haven't done that category. And I'm not 100% sure. I do have this one, though, on my shelf. So this is my number one contender for that right now, and it's Mink River by Brian Doyle. And this is an author that's local to where she lives in Oregon, but somehow it made its way to my local used bookstore. And when I saw it, I remembered how glowingly Melinda has talked about this book on many occasions. And it's one of those quirky people in the small town kind of books. I keep wanting to say it's Irish because maybe I'm thinking of Roddy Doyle, but it's Brian Doyle from Oregon. And it is compared to Dylan Thomas's Under Milkwood and Sherwood Anderson's Winesburg, Ohio. And he brings a town to life through the jumbled lives and braided stories of its people. There's a Department of Public Works that gives haircuts and counts insects, a policeman addicted to Puccini, beer, and berries, and a philosophizing crow. Readers will close the book more than a little sad to leave the village of Neo-Wanaka on the wet coast of Oregon. I thought it said west coast, but it says the wet coast of Oregon, beneath the hills that used to boast the biggest trees in the history of the world. So it does sound very good, and I hope, well, I have to finish the challenge. I don't have to, but I do have to. Okay, next up in the pile, I try to read a nonfiction book every month, and this month I'm going to try to read Jane Austen's bookshelf in honor of Jane Austen's 250th birthday. My library is having a Jane Austen birthday tea. I think a lot of libraries and bookstores are doing this in December, maybe somewhere there's something around where you live that's having some kind of an event, but they're going to have a tea party for Jane Austen. And I bought this back in the summer, and it was an idea to read for Jane Austen July, but I went with a different nonfiction book about Jane Austen that month, and I saved this for December. I think I'll just start it and kind of read it alongside whatever else I'm reading all month, just kind of slowly read it. But it's about it's by Rebecca Romney, and she's a rare book collector, and she thinks about the books that Jane Austen would have had and would have read. It says a rare book collector's quest to find the women writers who shaped a legend. So I'm interested to hear what she finds out about a number of other women that many I've heard of, but maybe I've read some of them or not. But what was Jane Austen reading? Who influenced her? So that should be interesting. And a lot of people read it and enjoyed it back in July, and I'm coming in late to the party. But that's what I would like to read for nonfiction. If the time just gets completely out of control, I can use my old standby, which is to go and find a children's nonfiction book that I can read faster. And it's kind of a cheat, but I also really do like children's nonfiction a lot. So that's my backup plan, because this will be good any month, but I would like to at least attempt to get it going in December. Next in the pile is another challenge finisher. I'm also trying to complete the Ben Reads Good challenge. And as we speak, it is November 25th. So I have 5 days left of November, and I haven't done the November challenge yet, but I have a play that is going to satisfy that requirement that I am determined to squeeze in under the wire. The December challenge is to read a book about brothers. And I looked at the list of what other people put into the challenge, and I had read a lot of those. There were some really good ones in there. And there's a few books that I'm interested in, but not enough to, I don't know. I kind of got a little bit lost in this topic. But there is a book I wanted to read again, and it's We the Animals by Justin Torres. And not just because it's short, but because it's really beautifully written, and I loved it, and it went really fast. It's almost like poetry. It's a fiction book, but it's quite autobiographical about three young brothers growing up with their extremely young parents in a rather unstable household, and just some of the roller coaster effect of the highs and lows of that experience. And then there's a time jump to where he's older and some of the challenges that he's facing. And I don't want to tell a lot because it's very short, beautifully written, and I do want to read it again. So this would count as a reread and fulfill the challenge. So I'd be hitting 2 of my challenges. So that's my plan for We the Animals. Okay, the next one in the pile is It May Fit In, It May Not. So this one would count. It's a reread. I read it every year, usually. Sometimes it's about a year and a half. It is a holiday book, and my friend Michael suggested that we read it together, but I don't know if there's going to be time. And guess what it is? It's Catcher in the Rye. I've only read it, who knows how many times, 30, 40, I don't know. I could probably just act it out and not read it, but this is my favorite novel, and it is a Christmas story. It's not a Christmas story, but I count it as a Christmas story because it takes place during the week of Christmas. It's a very, probably an odd thing to pick as a comfort book, a story about a young, depressed teenager having a grief-induced nervous breakdown, but I do love this book. It is heartbreaking. It is hilarious. If you have never read Catcher in the Rye, please try it at least once in your lifetime. But you've heard me talk about it so many times, and so I count this as holiday reading, but there's a time crunch, so it might have to happen later in the winter, but it's in the pile. And every year I read A Christmas Memory by Truman Capote, and I have to read this every Christmas, and I usually read it twice because I start to read it and I instantly get sad that it's a short story, and so I just have to tell myself, it's okay, you can read it again. It's a very autobiographical short story about Truman Capote's childhood and his Christmas preparations with the beloved Miss Sook, who is an older lady in his family who is some kind of a cousin, and they are the best of friends. Miss Sook has some special needs, but the two of them are just a pair of inseparable best friends, and they're preparing and getting all these things together to make a fruit cake. It's the only story that ever makes a fruit cake sound like a good idea, and it's just beautiful and heartbreaking. And it's not heartbreaking, like something sad doesn't happen. It's just the nostalgia and the memories and the ending and the looking back. That's what, it's not that something heartbreaking happens in the course of the plot. It's just everything Christmas feeling. I have to read it every year. And then the other one is a memory about when he went to visit his father that he did not know very well on one Christmas in New Orleans. It's a good story too. And I think it would be fun to pick out a couple of stories from the book that I picked up at my mom's house, Murder for Christmas, which is short stories, crime short stories by a whole bunch of different crime authors that I don't even know what's in here. This is just for fun, but I feel like I should randomly pick out a couple of them just for the flavor. I will also be reading a lot of books from around the house. We have a lot of Christmas stories. There's picture books, there's adult books like David Sedaris' Christmas stories. We have a lot, and I just kind of dip in on whatever I feel like. So they're not officially in the TBR, but they're in the environment. The next one is just a book I want to read that's not associated with any other projects or goals or buddy reads, but I just really want to read it, and I got it for my birthday, and I still haven't had time to read it. And it is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans, and everyone raves about it. It sounds so good. It sounds like a really good one to sit and read during the holidays with a cup of tea. Will I have time? It's doubtful, but a girl can dream. I guess I should mention what it's about. It's epistolary. It's about an older woman who's a big-time letter writer. I think maybe something she's been avoiding comes to light, and she has to confront something. I don't know. All right, next in the pile is what was chosen by the banned book club at the public library. And that for December is The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. I've read it before. It's excellent. I'm really happy to read it again. It's short stories and it's short. I think it's like vignettes that collect together about a family that lives on Mango Street. A young girl growing up in the Latino section of Chicago. The House on Mango Street tells the story of Esperanza Cordero, whose neighborhood is one of harsh reality and harsh beauty. So they're very short. Some of the stories are just 1 or 2 pages. They're little vignettes, so all together you get the personality and the character and the circumstances of Esperanza. And I'm really happy to read it again. And I'm happy that the person who plans the reading selections foresaw that everyone would be busy and picked a shorty for September. No, December. Oh my gosh. Am I okay? I think I'm okay. Science fiction double feature. Part of my 60 before 60 project dealing with speculative fiction. There are 2 selections. I did not have the same foresight that the staffers at the library had, and I didn't think, wow, December is usually really busy. Why don't you pick short ones? And one of them's kind of short and the other one's kind of long. So we do have No Blade of Grass, or The Death of Grass. My edition's The Death of Grass. This book can be found in the US and UK by 2 different titles. And I talked about this in my haul just the other day. And this was written in the 1950s, and it's a post-apocalyptic novel about some kind of a disease has attacked the grass worldwide. And at first it's only affecting Asia, and so these characters in the UK think, oh, how sad, but not our problem. And then eventually it does become their problem, and it becomes a survival story. And it's about a guy named John and his family on a journey across the country trying to get to the safety of a relative who lives in a secluded area. So that sounds like a good time. And then the other science fiction book is Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. The description of this reminds me a little bit of Murderbot. Humanity is a dying breed, utterly reliant on artificial labor and service. When a domesticated robot gets a nasty little idea downloaded into their core programming, they murder their owner. The robot discovers they can also do something else they never did before. They run away. Fleeing the household, they enter a wider world they never knew existed, where the age-old hierarchy of humans at the top is disintegrating into ruins, and an entire robot ecosystem devoted to human well-being is having to find a new purpose. So it'll be my intro to Adrian Tchaikovsky. And if science fiction is not your cup of tea, I also have an ongoing project called Endless Drama, where we are reading plays every month. All year we've been reading 20th and 21st century plays with one Victorian play, and the similar layout will be existing for next year, except there will just be one play a month instead of two, because that was a little much. I'm going to try to be less extra in 2026. You wouldn't know it from this video, but that's my plan. But I do have two plays for this month, but one of them's short. One of them's a one-act play, and it's called No, that's not what it's called. It's called The Long Christmas Dinner by Thornton Wilder. I was going to say it's called The Christmas Play because we just read The Thanksgiving Play by Larissa Fasthorse. Thornton Wilder wrote The Long Christmas Dinner, and it's in this collection of one-act plays. And I'm assuming that it is about some kind of messed up Christmas dinner, family dinner. I don't know. I chose it because I wanted to read something else by Thornton Wilder besides Our Town, which I love, but I wanted to try another play, and he had one that seemed to be about Christmas, and so that's what I picked. Also, we have Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, which I may have read before. It's one of those ones, did I read it or do I just know about it because I was an English major and because I read a lot and it gets referred to frequently? I know that I have read or seen a few different Beckett plays. The one where the couple is buried in the sand, is that called Happy Days? That one, and something else. And this one. But I know that there's two guys and they're waiting for Godot, and we don't really know who or what Godot is, and it's kind of existential and kind of absurd. The storyline revolves around two seemingly homeless men waiting for someone or something named Godot. Vladimir and Estragon wait near a tree on a barren stretch of road, inhabiting a drama spun from their own consciousness. The result is a comical wordplay of poetry, dreamscapes, and nonsense, which has been interpreted as a somber summation of mankind's inexhaustible search for meaning. Woo! It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. I have been reading with my friend Louise the ongoing series on the calculation of volume. We read 1 and 2. 3 came out on November 18th, which is the perfect day for it to come out. If you've been reading these books, you know why. But it did come out, and I have a copy. Solvej, Balle, and the translator, let's see. This one actually has a different translator than the other two. The previous ones are translated by Barbara Haviland. This one is translated by Sophia, Hersi Smith, and Jennifer Russell. So that'll be interesting to see if there's a notable different feel in the prose, in the style, with a change of translator. But the first two books both managed to end on a bit of a cliffhanger, and so I'm eager to see what the territory is that she covers in number 3. It's about a woman who is trapped in a loop on the same day, and it's November 18th, and every day she wakes up and it's that day again, and she tries a lot of different ways to get out of it or accommodate her life to it, and what to find meaning and connection in a world where she keeps repeating and nobody else remembers, even if she tries to explain to them what is happening. Number 3, we're hoping to read this in December. And the next one is also a buddy read, and this is Paper Houses by Dominique Fortier. And my friend Michael and I want to read this. We read the other book, and it's translated by Rhonda Mullins from French. This is a Canadian author. And the previous book, actually, this is the previous book. We read Pale Shadows, and she actually wrote Paper Houses before Pale Shadows, and they were both about Emily Dickinson. This one, the other one's about right after she died and how her sister and her sister-in-law and her brother's mistress all worked together to try to get the poems published and organized, because they were on scraps of paper all over in Emily's bedroom and her desk and everything. And this one is about before, when she's still alive. It's about Emily in her bedroom writing poetry. And so I've been waiting. I can't remember why we scheduled this for December, but I've been really eyeballing it and waiting for it to come around. And I have been kind of remiss on reading poetry lately because I've had a lot of projects going where I've just been reading more books simultaneously than usual. And it kind of crowded out my little side readings. And so I think this will bring me back around, because it's going to make me, it did it before, it's going to make me want to go back and read a lot of particular favorite Emily Dickinson poems. So there's that. But wait, there's more. Here's the grand dame of the whole thing, because this is the longest book in the pile, and that is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, which is a buddy read that I'm going to have with my friend Marcia. And Marcia and I have been planning to read this for several months, and we've had to reschedule a few times for all kinds of readerly reasons. But now we're finally going to read it. And this is a reread for me, and this is a book that I really, really loved when I first read it. And I have been meaning to reread this book for years and really just wanting to get back to it. And it is Marcia's first Kate Atkinson book. And so I really, really hope that I love it again and that she loves it too. And I think, unless memory has just failed me on all fronts, I think it's a good representation and a good place to start with Kate Atkinson. I feel like the best places to start would either be this one or the Jackson Brodie books. But they're so different because those are mysteries with a detective character. And this one does have a speculative element because it's about a woman who was born in 1910, Ursula. And she's born, and it says she dies before she draws her first breath. On that same cold and snowy night, Ursula Todd is born, lets out a lusty wail, and embarks upon a life that will be, to say the least, unusual. So it's one of these books where there's different possible paths played out of the same person. The question here is, for as she grows, she also dies repeatedly in a variety of ways while the young century marches on toward its second cataclysmic world war. Does Ursula's apparently infinite number of lives give her the power to save the world from its inevitable destiny? And if she can, will she? So it's one of Kate Atkinson's most ambitious and complicated structures. And she is an absolute master of organization and structure in a novel in just surprising and satisfying ways. And I think this is peak Kate Atkinson, unless I completely change my mind, but I really don't think I will. I'm so excited about rereading this and reading it with Marcia and talking about it with her throughout the month. So Life After Life is the chunkster of the month, but I am so ready for it. And down at the bottom of the pile, and blessedly short, are two picture books in the continuing saga of Angelia and Michael read all the works of Kate DiCamillo. And so we picked picture books. One of them is A Christmas Story, which is great joy. I've read both of these picture books before, so these will be short, sweet, and satisfying. So it is a Christmas book that is not showing up very well on the camera because it has a very kind of a dark and subtle cover. The illustrations are by Bagram, how do you say his name? Ibatouen? And he has illustrated several of her books. And then the other one is Louise, The Adventures of a Chicken. Not my friend Louise in Australia, but a chicken named Louise. There is a quotation by Emily Dickinson on the back, which is also just ties in very nicely with my month of reading. And this is about a chicken who is craving adventure. So I think I'm probably forgetting something. Let's hope not, because this is a lot. Tell me what you think. What in my pile looks good to you? What are you most excited about reading in December? Am I a complete lunatic? How many of these, maybe people can lay bets, how many of these will I actually get to? I'm excited about them all. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to swing for the fences and see how far I get. And I will have fun with however far I get. So that's it for now. I hope that if you are celebrating Thanksgiving this week, you have a wonderful time and a wonderful family gathering or whatever it is that you're doing. And if you are not celebrating, I hope that you have an excellent end of the week and weekend. We do have Emma and Cooper and their 2 cats coming tomorrow. This should be interesting. It's Wilkie's first holiday season. Our new Christmas tree is supposed to come today. Has he ever seen a full-size Christmas tree? I don't know. He's already been trying to steal things off of my little library tree and take them to his bed to chew on. So when the big one comes out, I don't know. And he also finds cats to be quite exciting. So it could be a very, we were talking about this weekend could be like one of those holiday movies, like a National Lampoon kind of situation. I don't know how crazy it's going to get. I'll try to get footage. Have a great weekend, and I will be back. I will not do a video Friday because we're doing family stuff, but I will be back around probably next Tuesday. So have a happy Thanksgiving or whatever you're having, and happy reading.